Howdy, everybody. I'm just going to do a little chit chat and stall. Hopefully, people will tune in, see what's up in G Money's life. Um, I almost timed this perfectly. I didn't want to, I wanted to go earlier, but the sun is like literally blinding me. And I figure in about another 15 minutes, the sun is going to be behind the trees. So I'm just going to stall a little bit, see if anybody comes in. Then we're going to talk about a few things. This was unplanned. It was kind of a last minute thing, but I thought I would chit chat with my friends and let them know what's going on in life. And so, thank you, JJ, Mr. Jason Johnson, for tuning in. Hope everything's well in your world. I see we got one more viewer. Somebody just popped in, so I'm going to let people. Yeah, JJ says I don't need that extra lighting, but you know what's? I'm glad you mentioned that. Oh, I'm so bummed. This I don't know if I give me one second. I'm gonna try and demonstrate and show this thing. This is the light I was trying to use as my backdrop lighting. This is really cool. What it is it's very flexible. It had a big, heavy weighted base to it. So what you would do is you would hit the button, it would light it up, and it's kind of like for elderly people. If you would bend it over, and it's a big magnifying glass, so you could read. So I realized that was had been in the room, my mom's spare bedroom, her office area, and I said, "Hey, let me see if this might light me up." So it did light me up, but the only problem with I don't know how old this thing was, but the whole base was kind of like a hard sand clay at and it just the whole base just crumbled and fell apart. So I got about two or maybe two, 3 uses max out of it. The light still works and everything. I have not disposed of it, but I'm trying to figure out what kind of a contraption I can come up with. You know, I might have to use like a coffee can and pour some. I don't know, but this light still works and the cord is fine. But it did light me up pretty good. So hold on one second. Let me prop this back up in the corner. All right. So yeah. So the light. Yeah, the tree is the tree. The sun is just starting to drop between the trees, behind the trees. So I want to talk about a couple things. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. There's not like exciting. You know, it's not like a big premiere or anything like that. But um, anybody's been following the channel a little bit, I got to be a little sensitive here when I talk on this topic about dementia. But yeah, that's that's still an ongoing problem here in this household, and it every day it's a new struggle. Um, you know, my mother here, she I won't say every day, but several times a week she gets all dialed up and comes out, and I say, where are you going? You know, she says, I'm going to the bank or whatever she says, and I'm like, how are you getting there? She goes, I'm driving. And she just totally forgets. I'm trying to whisper a little bit. I know this was a pretty good microphone, but she's in the other room and the TV's not on. But so it's like these are some of the things I go through every day, like so many different things, like repetitive questions, and I got to keep reminding her we don't have the car keys. Her tags are not renewed. She hasn't had a license for 14 months, and just just stuff like that. So it's just like, um, but I found it interesting. She knows her brain is mentally declining, and all right, thank you for the heads up there, JJ. Thank you. I wasn't sure I was, but so she knows her brain is mentally declining. I think she knows how she's been diagnosed. And I found it very interesting that she came out to me. I don't know, maybe a little over an hour ago. I was trying to whip up something on while I was cooking, and she's reading to me. She's getting all these notifications on her phone. And I sometimes I think these things are so old. My mom gets so many notifications, it's ridiculous. But so she's telling me that Bruce Willis was diagnosed with dementia, and I'm like, yeah, he's had that for a while. I didn't know it was dementia, but I know he had some disease. So I had one link pulled up here real quick. I was going to try and just. Hopefully I did not lose this. Oh, here, maybe this is it. Okay, so what Bruce Willis has, it's I'm going to take the shades off right now, and Bruce Willis has something called frontal temporal dementia, and I never heard the dementia part. When I know he's been diagnosed for a long time ago, because when I say a long time ago, probably less than a year ago, or maybe around a year, but anyway, it's just that's something I did not know, that, so it proves to you it can affect anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how much wealth you have, or whatever your economic status is, but that terrible disease can strike you as well. So anyway, so some of the things I wrote some little notes here I'm going to glance at, and I'm going to bounce around. I really didn't do any like priority order or anything like that. And I keep looking at the screen. I got to remember to look at the camera. But today I spent the day working on my business taxes. So that was very frustrating, just because of my past housing situation and my lack of a really good office area right now. It makes it very difficult to be organized. I don't have a separate office area where I can have files, and so it makes it difficult. But I did keep a boatload of receipts this year, and I was trying to get everything in order for the accountant, hoping that I could get a refund. Usually every year, he does me pretty well, and I do get some type of refund. So the more I started calculating and tabulating all the things related to taxes, which is, oh my God, that's a boring day. But I couldn't do it as an accountant, deal with that every day. But so going through all the taxes and all that, going through everything's going smooth. I'm finally, I got W-2s. Everything's prepped to go to office. Some stuff I already went to Office Depot for, and then all of a sudden, the state of Florida, they send you these coupon books. So I had, and they give you 2 coupons for every quarter for when you're paying your taxes. So what I do is, when I have all my figures together for each quarter, I write it down, and then I write the same numbers down on the reserve one that stays in my book. So, so I had 4 quarters, always never lost one until today. I have this binder, and I've got these books all the way back to 2017, and I even have the 2023 one. And yeah, lo and behold, I somehow in my travels I lost my book. It could be in my storage unit. I have no idea. It could be in a tote. But so I'm going through all that, and then I was like, oh my God. So I spent about, I don't know, half hour or so on the phone with the accountant, probably a little bit longer, because he was trying to help me out. And, we're trying to find out if we can find this online. So if you call Tallahassee, Florida, which is the headquarters for the Florida Department of Revenue, it's always like a big, I'll say it politely, dog chasing his tail. And so I call, this is so funny. I'm laughing because it was so true. I call and I hit this number, and they said, oh, thank you for calling, blah, 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 blah. We're extremely busy right now. Call back later. Click, and they literally just hang up on you. It was like a recorded message. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. So I'm like, well, let me just try one more time. And I call, and all of a sudden now and literally like 5 seconds later, I get through, and I get through the gauntlet pretty quickly this time. And I was able to obtain the numbers, that I had already prepaid. So I was able to get that. So tomorrow the accountant's going to be getting all his information. So I'm trying to lead up to some better and cooler things here. I'm just trying to kill some time. I see now we have another viewer in here. Thank you for tuning in, whoever you are. But so the taxes things, it like I've always had big goals, but a low budget. It's so what's that saying? Beer taste on a, or excuse me, champagne taste on a beer budget. Yeah, like it's getting ugly right now. But um, so I've been doing some interviews, employment interviews and stuff like that, and I thought that would go better. I put together this really nice killer resume. I mean, I'm very proud of it. I found a template. It cost me $2.99. Boom, boom, boom. I whipped it out. Came out very nice. And the people at the employment agency even complimented me several times how professional that was for whipping it out so quickly. So I'm definitely very proud of that. I've been to some interviews. Nothing's really transformed yet. But I really want to get back to the one interview I had yesterday. Guy has what he does is, I had no idea. I'm going into this totally blind. All they tell me is, hey, you've got an appointment scheduled this time. Can you? I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'll be there. And I go there, and they said it's a warehouse. Well, it's more like a garage unit, like in an industrial park. It wasn't a real big garage, warehouse. So we get talking to the guy. He's 81 years old, and I kid you not, for like 81 minutes, like for 45, 50, 60 minutes, whatever it was, I had to listen to how successful he's been in life. So I'm like, I'm just, I'm playing the game, I'm like, all right, so we're talking, and, there's a little bit of dialogue back and forth. And basically all he does is he sells these little nuts and bolts and washers and these little plastic containers, and ships, delivers them all over Florida and stuff like that. So we're going back and forth. And he had told me how many, basically how many millions of dollars he's made over his lifetime and previous business when he did this in California and all this. And then we're talking it. And then like the wage he was throwing out there was a little bit low. I would say a bit low compared to some of the other ones. But then it was funny at the end. He basically said, "Yeah, I've got to check with my wife on this because I'm running on her money now." So I'm like, this guy that made all these like millions and millions of dollars, he's running off his wife's money now, and he's making these. So I don't know. I felt like I lost an hour and 15 minutes of my life, but who knows? Maybe something will pan out. He kept telling me he thinks it's going to be $100 million business in the coming years. And that's great to have, goals and have, projections like that. But he's 81 years old as well. So it's not like he's at, age 45 or 50 and he's projecting this, he's 81. He looked very healthy. I will say that. But so right now I'm going to talk about a couple things. I found something out, I believe it was earlier today, that there's a young lady I follow on Facebook a little bit, and I just subscribed to her YouTube channel. I don't know why I never subscribed earlier, but there's a gal named Heather Smith, and her Facebook page and her YouTube channel are both called Heather Smith Outdoors. And she obviously does a lot of outdoorsy type things. And I just want to read something from, this is her YouTube page. Let me see what her about, I haven't even checked her about page. Let me check it on Facebook here. Okay, Facebook page is a little bit better. I know she's more active on Facebook, but she is described as, where it was here somewhere. Basically, she has 108,000 followers, and it's crazy because she's always outdoors doing something. She's an attractive young lady. She's very active. If anybody knows she's from Louisiana area, so she's very, very active with the Cajun Navy. If anybody knows what that is, that's basically the group of volunteers from Louisiana. Whenever there's a hurricane, they help their own people and they help other states. Like they've contributed to helping Florida, other states, but Mississippi and stuff like that. So really cool things. But this is the cool thing. As I'm talking to the one person that's following, I think I know who that is. She's going to be on Naked and Afraid, and her episode is going to be premiering on March 26th, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that would be like 11 p.m. Eastern Time, I believe, our time. But it's really cool. I have no idea anything about it, and that's like 21 days. They have they do a lot of great things, but I know she's very athletic. She's always in the gym. She knows a lot about the outdoors, survival techniques. I know she's had some coaching up by another lady that successfully completed 21 days. So it's going to be interesting to follow her journey, see what happens then. And right now, now I'm going to tell you, this is funny because it's perfect time to tell this story because you're going to think I'm a whack job, which I think everybody does because there's 0 people watching me right now. Anyway, so I talked previously about having nightmares. And so like it's been progressing pretty ugly, and I don't like it because it's just I can't. It's one of these things you lay down you can't control. But so the episode I had last night was I'm basically like, it's weird because like some dreams you can remember real vividly. Most dreams you only remember bits and pieces. But I go to basically it was like a resort, and I'm walking in the back area, and basically a lot of people in lounge chairs. Thank you there, JJ. My screen's showing zero viewers, but anyway, so I'm like kind of walking around, and it's kind of like a pool area type thing close to the beach or something like that. And I look over and I see an ex-girlfriend, somebody that I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, right? And she kind of like locks eyes on me, and I kind of look over, and I don't know, should I wave? And then I realize she's there with her best friend, which is another ex-girlfriend of mine. So I'm like, oh, doggy. I'm like, how do I handle this? That's what I'm thinking in my brain, and I'm like, what are they talking about? Like all this stuff. It was just crazy stuff. And it just blows my mind how, I guess stress or, financial stress, whatever, can really play on your brain and like literally I'm up every couple of hours, and I find it very difficult to get sleep. But I found that interesting that like that periodically the one gal will pop up, but I found it odd that the two were in the same dream/nightmare. But anyway, so another thing I want to talk about is some people know a channel called Full Blown Country, and they're down here in Texas. Real nice people. A guy named Pooch and his wife. She has a nickname, Pretty. She also has a podcast called No Judgment Here with Tish Ross. So she does it out of a local community radio station. And I was watching a broadcast she did. It was kind of like, I think this was the first one I've seen where it was kind of like a video podcast. Like they had done this, and she was talking to another guy, but basically she mentions that she's preparing for a half marathon. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. So, I previously did a little video talking about my struggles trying to do a half marathon because I didn't train properly. But I do commend her because she's training very hard for a half marathon. Somewhere, I'm assuming it's down there in Texas, but I think they live near the Oklahoma border, but I'm not positive. Anyway, so anybody, I encourage you to go over there. Hey, Rita, nice to see you. It's always a pleasure to see you for sure. But I was just talking about Tish Ross is training for a half marathon. I think it's maybe less than a week and a half away, something like that. So I don't know all the details where it's going to be, but I truly wish her the best on that. And I'm sure she's going to be much more productive at running that than I did with pretty much lack of training. But so now let's go on and talk to, let me try and make some people laugh here. This is a picture. I'm residing here at my mother's house. And this is a picture that she has on her refrigerator door. So I'm going to let you guess who's who in this picture. Tell me which one's the power of attorney and which one is the leftover. All right, I don't know how much sheen or shine is on that. Maybe that's a little bit better, but let me know. Somebody say, I can see it, and let me know what you think. That's what French parents do to you. Well, my mom's French. I was over there in France, and I was subjected to aunts, uncles, all these French people. I don't know how old I was. How old do you think I was there? 3, maybe 4. I have no idea. Usually my mom's pretty good about writing the stuff on the back, but anyway, so I thought I'd share that to all the 2 people that are watching for little poops and giggles. But basically that's kind of, I think I've touched base on most of the stuff. My goals are greater than what I've achieved. And honestly, the next 24 hours is going to be very, very crucial for my outcome for survival. And I'm not real excited about something I need to do, but I'm going to approach somebody and within the family and try and explain my situation. Hopefully I don't get ridiculed and demeaned in the process, because I've been doing everything I can to obtain employment and also maintain healthy living for my mother here in this house. But there was one other note. I just glanced at my notes. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the YouTube channel. JJ, this is pretty much going out to you, brother, if you're still watching. There's a guy named I think his channel's name's Jevin Downey, and he just did a video. I want to say maybe, I think if I remember right, it was within the last 9 days. It might have been 9 days ago, whatever. But basically, he was talking about all the you need to have a permit if you want to film any type of filming in a national park. But if you do like still photography, basically, this is like the gist of it. What I watched, and the most of what I watched. But any type of YouTube thing like that, basically the way they worded it, and they kind of go through with it, and and then it gets very technical. But basically, if you can monetize from a video in a national park, then you have to apply for a permit to do what you're going to do. But if and the guy Jevin was talking about, it's crazy because you could be a still photographer and take a bunch of all the wildlife pictures you want or whatever in a national park, and you could profit off of that. But once you flip the switch and you start the video, all of a sudden now you need a permit. So I found that very interesting, that there's a lot of discussion here lately, especially with JJ and Off the Hook Outdoors, about the do's and don'ts of YouTube. And that was one thing I found very, very interesting, that, you know, it's then they talked about, like, basically they made it's such a, like, a vague spectrum of how they defined it. Basically, they made it very clear. Like, if you're shooting a movie script out there, yes, you can need permits, and they need to know how many people, and all that stuff. So that part. But if you can profit off of any type of video in a national park, you need a permit. So it was you can tell there's a loophole there, and it it sounds to me like they're going to have people looking for very famous national parks on YouTube to see if anybody's violated that policy. Like, see if they can get kickback. I don't know. It's all how you interpret it, but I'm throwing it out there for JJ, for Off the Hook Outdoors, anybody else that's really, really knows YouTube a little bit better than I do. But I've been trying to learn it a little bit better. I try to do some research, but there's so many distractions in my life right now. It's really hard to focus. But that was one thing that really kept, it's like, wow, it's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people in violation of that don't even know that they're in violation of it. It sounds like, if I remember correctly, it was something like that was passed in like 2021. My dates could be incorrect, but it got struck down, then it came back, and then so like, I see JJ's making comments. He says it was struck down by a court, then it was appealed, and then the park system won. So there you go. So that's some of the things you need to keep in mind if you're out there visiting some of these famous areas. I imagine that would be something, Grand Canyon, I guess, is a national park. I don't know. There's a bunch of them out there. But anyway, folks, I've chatted long enough. Just remember, hello, Peterson Farms. Feel free to watch the replay. We're pretty much wrapping it up. We've talked on some different things. Just to let you know, since you just tuned in, there's a famous young lady on Facebook and YouTube. She goes by Heather Smith Outdoors. She's going to be on Naked and Afraid on March 26th, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I believe that's on the Discovery Channel. So she's a really cool person to watch. You may want to start tuning into her Facebook channel. I'm sure that's all pre-recorded, and she's probably already been out there and done that. And the one thing I forgot to mention, she is doing that, and they're going to be in South Africa. So how scary would that be? Whew. I can't even imagine. I get one or two mosquitoes biting me anywhere I go, and I'm ready to pack it in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that transpires and how accurate that is. And Rita, I know naked, and anything naked scares me right now, to be honest with you, at my age. But so I thought that was kind of cool. Well, anyway, folks, appreciate you guys tuning in for the six pack that are here. I appreciate it, and always try and help out somebody. Try and motivate somebody, lift somebody's spirits up when you can. That's pretty much why I'm here. It's whenever I talk to any of you guys, I always feel a little bit better. Life's still a little bit crazy right now, but next 24 to 48 hours is going to tell the story. But all right, folks, I want to say one thing, and you probably all know what I'm talking about. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.